Hello, World of Tank Blitzers, and hopefully a few future momrads out there. I'm Littlefinger. Today I'm doing a full tank review on the Kiho. You can see it here in the garage. It is a Tier 4 Japanese light tank, and this thing has got some great handling, a good gun, and it's very small in stature, which does come in handy, making other guys miss. Let's take a look here. Let's pull up the PZ4D. Look at this comparison here. It's half the size. Makes it kind of fun to run. This was a tank that I had never played before doing this review. Right now I've played 7 battles in it, doing pretty good, and I'm really enjoying this tank. Let's just take a quick look at the tech tree here, and you can see it on top there for Tier 4 Kiho. So basically the Japanese splits off and has 3 lights, the Hago, Kini, and Kiho, and all of those are pretty fun tanks to drive in my opinion. I've really enjoyed this Japanese line. As you can see, I've run it all the way up to Tier 10. Setting up this tank, consumables, I am running repair kit, multi-purpose, and adrenaline. Provisions, running all 3, standard fuel, white rice, and protective kit, of course. Ammunition, this gun actually has pretty good penetration values for a Tier 4, so 39 rounds of AP, only a few rounds there, 15 of your spamming gold AP. You don't get APCR in this tank, just advanced AP, so gives you about a 30 increase in penetration values, and then just a few HE shells here. Penetration on that's pretty bad. So let me pull up the Blitz stars and look at tank compare real quick. Okay guys, so here is the tank compare from blitzstars.com, and I've pulled out all of the light Tier 4 tanks, taking off all the equipment just so that this is as fair a comparison as possible. You can see here DPM 1164 is middle of the pack. The Covenanter and M5 Stuart are higher, but the downside is that their penetration values are much worse. So chances are you're going to get quite a few bounces and not be able to maximize that 1525, let's say, for the Stuart. So this is probably one of the better DPM tanks at Tier 4 in my opinion. And that's partially because of the second value there, penetration, 87 millimeters. You can see that's almost 20 better than the Lux or the Covenanter. And of course, it's even higher than the A20, which, as we talked about in a previous review, is probably the most OP tank in Tier 4. So on an alpha basis, you're getting 90 damage per shot, which is very good. But to offset that, they had to obviously slow down the rate of fire. So at 12.93, every other tank here is faster. So your reload is 4.64 seconds. Moving on down to aim time there, you can see 1.7 seconds is actually pretty good. It's kind of middle of the pack again. Dispersion 0.341 is outside of the A20. It's really good. So all of these gun handling statistics are really good in my opinion. The depression, gun depression there is 10 degrees, so while it's not as good as its other counterpart at Tier 4 Japanese, at 15, 10% is pretty good and is certainly workable, but you can't really play it as well on hills as you could, say, the Covenanter, but it isn't restricting as, say, the A20, which has only 7 degrees. So moving on to movement and mobility, you can see here the tank has a top speed of 50 kilometers per hour, which is tied with the Covenanter for worst in class. Engine horsepower is 155, which is certainly worst in class. This is such a small tank. You can see here, looking down at miscellaneous and extra, weight comes in at 9.75 tons. So it is by far the smallest, lightest tank out there, which then gives you a power to weight ratio of 15.9. Again, that's still worst in class, and I'm looking at these stats and I'm going, why on earth does it feel like this tank drives so much better in game? And that is because of the terrain resistance. You can see here at 0.5, 0.7, 0.9, depending upon the type of terrain you're on. Those numbers are amazing, and I guess that's why this tank feels like it moves so well in game. Add in the fact here, if you look at the non-modified traverse speed, so this is without any extras like fuel or anything like that, this tank traverses at 60 degrees per second, and that just blows away all these other tanks. Granted, the turret traverse speed on the tank is only 39, whereas some of the other turret traverses range like about 53 for the Covenanter and 58, I believe, for the A20. So you do lose out a little bit on that turret traverse, but the tank traverse is really great. Moving on down to miscellaneous and extras, credit coefficients, they're at 112%, is decent. It's not great. View range, also not very good compared to some of the other lights there. Hit points at 540. It's right in line with all the other tanks. But then when we move down to the hull armor, turret armor, you can see every other tank is green, showing that it is better than the Kehoe. So this is a very fragile tank, so you want to play it with caution. And lastly, on the BlitzStars website, I did want to talk about this 90-day average. I thought this was kind of interesting. You can see here at a win rate of 58%. It does actually play pretty well. Average damage there outside of the A20 is second highest at 638. Some of those are some pretty good stats, you know, kills per death over 2. But what I found interesting is you look at the bottom players, 374 versus the A20, which we know is an OP tank that people play just to get some wins. 27-16 is quite a difference in the amount of people playing this tank. But anyway, I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm going to talk some equipment real quick and then do some gameplay. Okay guys, here we are on the equipment page for the Kehoe. You can see I've just been running it with a gun rammer. Adds 1 round per minute to our rate of fire, which is about 90 hit points. The option there would be calibrated shells, which increases your penetration by 9 millimeters. In my opinion, this gun already has good penetration values, so I felt like the extra shot per minute was more of a benefit. Looking at vitality on level 1, you've got protected modules, which protects the engine, transmission, ammo rack, fuel tank durability, etc. versus enhanced cabin, which protects your crew and protects you from ramming, which you are susceptible to in such a small tank. However, I would probably go with protected modules. Just watch out for those fires and ammo racks. Those can do more damage in my opinion. More frequently, that is. So anyway, moving on to specialization, you've got improved optics, which increases your view range 23 to 256 meters. Would be my choice over a camo net, which I don't feel is very beneficial to this tank. Enhanced gun lane drive decreases your aim time to 3.7, whereas supercharge increases your shell velocity and you don't lose penetration values over a distance. So I would definitely go with supercharge on this one, just because your aim time's already pretty good. Enhanced armor, well, we know the armor on this tank isn't very good, so 5% really isn't adding much. 5% to hit points is going to give you 30 extra hit points. Could be the difference in a couple games between dying or staying alive. I would go with that. Now, improved control is going to add 3 horsepower and 5.85 degrees of traverse. Well, we know our traverse is already really good, whereas the engine accelerator is going to give you 10 extra horsepower and only 2 degrees of traverse speed. But since your traverse speed is already so good, I would go with this one, the engine accelerator, just get that weight to horsepower ratio up. It's going to help you with climbing hills faster and so forth. So vertical stabilizer is going to decrease your aim time, and your refined gun is going to decrease your dispersion. So I would probably go with a vertical stabilizer, but again, aim time is pretty good on this tank, so you might be spending spare parts that you don't really need to. Enhanced tracks, toolbox, I mean, I don't know the difference really here. I'm just going to pass on that. Consumable delivery system versus high-end consumables. Well, in my opinion, that depends on what consumables you run. So in this case, high-end, I would only get benefit from adrenaline, whereas if I go on the cooldown system, I would get benefit from the repair kit and the large repair kit. So I would go with this one, the consumable delivery system. So now that we have that, again, I'm not equipping these tier 4 tanks all the way out. I think it's a waste of spare parts. But anyway, that's your prerogative. Let's look at some gameplay. Okay, so here is the first game. This is about my 3rd battle, I believe, in this tank, and you can see this turns into a really exciting game. But anyway, I like to come down to this mound here, especially in tanks with good gun depression, because I can actually back up a few meters from where I'm at there and get hull down. But I like to look down that alleyway there just for that fact that should someone be coming through there, I can get a shot in on them. So you can see that Hetzer, he's obviously got good frontal armor. And I bounced that very first shot, but we got a shot in on the side. We get the 2 shots there in the keyhole, and unfortunately missed that shot. But you know, you see our Chiha there. I mean, he just pushes way too far up. I mean, you've got to play defensively. You've got to you've always got to have a way to get in cover. You see how I think that was a T-26 maybe. I mean, just out in the open. I mean, it's not helping. So anyway, I see that my platoon mate's on this side here, and he's going to need help. We're already down to 3 tanks at this point in time. So I'm going to go try and hold this corner here, and we'll get a shot in on the Hetzer. I get tracked, which was really disappointing there because I didn't want to take that shot obviously from the Hetzer. But again, I'm using this this hill. T-46 there, he goes and takes the brunt of the Hetzer. Luckily here, this M2 medium misses his gold round. And so I've dropped adrenaline here, and we're just going to get rid of him as fast as possible. Now these guys do a good job going back and forth behind the boat here and kind of keep me from finishing them off before they can get my partner. But I've got my engine damage there, so we'll repair that. We're out of repair kits now. I've got to play this super cautious, and you can see here I was hoping that they would one of them would back up, but unfortunately partner gets taken out and there's 4 tanks left, and 2 shots in a row we get rid of them. Now we've got a chance. We are 2 on 1, and this guy must have been circling the map. Who knows where that shot went. You know, it said it went right through, but that's kind of frustrating. So anyway, I'm not sure where that T-82 is. Obviously he's got a kill, so he's not AFK. And this guy crests the hill there. We get him in the engine and get another nice shot from behind before he can get around. And I doubt he's got gun depression back there. Oh, there's T-82. Let's make sure we get behind this hill so he doesn't have a shot on us. Using this carcass here, we get another shot, pull back, and kind of take one I didn't need to there, but we'll go ahead and finish him off. And now I'm just trying to stay out of the T-82's line of sight. Gonna speed it up here. He's in the base. So we've got 5 kills already, and obviously I do know where he is, but I want to try to surprise him. He's probably thinking I'm coming up the ramp there. So we'll slow it back down to normal speed, and I'm hoping I can just peek in around the corner here and get him on the base, because we know he's around here. So we're going to use our speed. You see we've got 50 kilometers per hour, and get one shot in there, and I'm hoping he can't turn fast enough, and sure enough he can't. So we get the second shot there and come back from a 4-on-1 situation to pull that one out. So you can see why I'm a little excited about this tank. 1900 damage, mastery, Koblanov. We did that one right. So second game I'm going to show you here is I'm bottom tier. It's always good to kind of get a feel for being top tier and bottom tier and how these games are going to play. But I was just going to kind of sit up top here and see if we couldn't get any of those TDs coming around the windmill side of the map. But my team's all gone left, and so I'm going to go follow suit. And that Anko kind of had the same idea, going to the middle here. And I'm going to pay the price and get a shot on me. So I need to get to some safety real quick. So I'm going to climb the church hill here. And you can see it's a little sluggish going up hills, especially when you pick the steepest part. And the PZ4 is looking one way, driving another, and you'll see later on he does my biggest pet peeve, and he blocks me. But so we're not expecting much out of him, and so I've using my good gun depression here, missed that shot on the M5 Stuart, which is another small tank. Shoot that one behind him, and yeah, so now he's pushing me out. So I politely tell him to stop. I've been spotted now, so I gotta play this a little bit more carefully. I'm not sure. They've only got 4 tanks spotted, so I can only assume that those TDs have probably gone up to the windmill. Covenanter's got himself in a bad spot here, and we're just gonna pump a few shots into him. Quick reload, which is nice on this tank. And so there I take a shot, and that must have been from up there on one of those ridges. So what I'm going to do here, and this is key, a lot of novice players, I can't preach patience enough. You want to stay alive, you want these games to last a long time. So what I did there was I hid behind the building, and I should have then dropped off the radar because no one's been spotting me. So now I'm back behind these bushes. We see that KV, it's all red. So we'll switch to our AP, and of course that bounces. We do get one to go in right there, so you know, that's 200 meters, and we're getting that shot to go in, which is good. So I guess moral of the story here is you're going to need some premium ammo for these tier 5 games, the KVs and whatnot. So again, I'm spotted, and I'm just going to hide behind the building, drop off the radar. We know this KV's down here. See if he backs up behind the building. Sure enough. And again, patience. He's the only one spotted. They've got 3 other tanks, and I don't know where they are. I don't think any of those 3 have been lit up on the radar yet. So there's no point me running down there just to kill that one tank without knowing where the other guys are, and my patience pays off here because he backs behind the building again, and I get kill number 3. So now we know they're not down in that far corner, so I'm gonna push around on the bridge into the far corner here. Our Leo is AFK, so it's really 3-on-3 at this point in time. So we're going to push around the corner, and you can see here I take a bad route up this hill. You can normally get up this hill, but I again chose the steepest portion. I think that's our PZ4. We know he's a horrible player, so he pushes straight into base without any support. Again, you know, sit behind the Churchill and take your time, push him or something. But you can see what I'm here. I'm behind this little hill here, expecting if anyone's going to come up, they've got a 50-50 chance that they come up this ramp here. But now that the Churchill's moved all the way up, I'm going to go ahead and move up too. Again, taking a safe route around the buildings. Got lots of cover. And Angry Connor pops up. And, we'll get a nice shot in there. Get another one. And we finish him off for kill number 4. And now here's the T-28. And the Hetzer. Drop adrenaline here. I've got the backside of a Hetzer, and we're just gonna keep putting shots in there until we get kill number 5. T-28 angled it a little bit too much there, but was more just trying to draw him out towards the Churchill, which he doesn't follow me, so I can trade shots with him here, and of course he misses. So yeah, we end up kill number 6, and this was low tier. So moral of the story on this game is just patience. Don't get yourself into bad situations that you don't have defense behind. So 1468 damage, 6 kills, another mastery badge, and I've only played this tank 7 times. I really am enjoying this tank. Alright, here's another game. Top tier. Making sure everyone's following me and going right. And you can see one of the first things I do here is I stop behind this hill, waiting for anyone that wants to come over that hill YOLOing. My teammates have pulled up alongside me, so I'm going to push up to the next ridge, and you can see here I stop here, and the reason for that is only my turret showing, and if I do get spotted I can pull back down the hill quickly, so it's a very defensive position. So they've gone straight to the cap circle, and we put one into the side of the Hetzer there just to reset cap, and we've been spotted, so we need to be very careful here. Trying to stay as far back on this ridge as possible and use these rocks as cover, which is one of the nice things about this tank being so small, is that we can hide in some places that you wouldn't normally be able to with some of these bigger tanks. And you can see here, while the gun depression is pretty good, it's not great, it's not your 15%, but 10% is still pretty good. So rushed that shot there. Probably could have waited another half second for that aim time to get a little bit better, but we do put one into him. And keep in mind with that T-49 with such a wide aiming arc, I mean that guy could be looking that way and pointed right at me and we couldn't see his gun, so I was just being extra precautious there. So we're up a 2-tank advantage here, but no one's been spotted yet on the other team. So Just being patient here, waiting for some spots to come up. We're going to switch over to the gold round just to make sure we get that shot in there. So we've got two guys down here, so I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and push on them. Yeah, when this guy PZ4D comes up, I throw a snapshot in there, pretty wild, hit adrenaline. We're going to go ahead and reload, and this could have been a pretty tough battle. PZ4D is a formidable tank for sure, but not when driven by somebody like this. Yeah, so they just let me shoot them without even trying to return fire here. It's kind of comical. Oh wait, there's a tank over here shooting me. Too late. So we're now got two tanks left. I've been conservative, saved all my hit points to the end, so now I can take some more risks, and we can push up on this Hetzer, and he's gonna turn on us, but we'll drive right by, get him in the side. One more Hetzer to go. Let's try to aim for the tracks there to keep him in place, but he ends up getting us. But while he's turned, our teammates shoot him, and I go in for the kill there. So just a very conservative, start the game off slow, don't YOLO into positions of weakness. Did just shy of 1100 damage there, 3 kills. Good enough for level 2. Alright, next game here. We're top tier on Canal. And I've kind of been stressing in the previous reviews about being real patient at the beginning of games and conserving those hit points to the end. And this game I kind of did got into a little sniping position, and so wanted to talk just briefly about camping versus sniping, and because there is a difference in my opinion. So you can find a good spot like this that's far away that's good for sniping, but if you're not being productive in the battle, to me that's what's called camping. And so, you know, if you're sitting there and a minute's gone by and you haven't been involved in the battle, then you need to relocate. And one of the other things I wanted to show about the great thing about this tank is how small it is, and I can just hide behind just even this little mound basically. And so I get shot by that T-28 up there, which now means it's time for me to get off of that position. I cannot be effective sitting on top of a hill. It's very dangerous, and really should only be used when you're not spotted. So I pulled out a little bit too far to try and help with the Covenanter, but team took him out. So now you can see I'm playing cautious, and I'm just going to back up and use this ridge. And I'm just basically waiting. I can see the mini-map, and I see I've got two guys, now one, that have shots on that T-28, and sure enough, there goes 170 hit points. The Lux comes around and finishes him off. So now I can come around the side of this building, not having to worry about the T-28 anymore. And we've got a friendly D2 there in the way, so I'm being patient. I see the Martyr there. I'm just going to wait for him to clear out, and then I'll take my shot through the fence. Now that the fence is gone and I can shoot HE, I'm going to aim for that part that does not have any yellow in it whatsoever. But keep in mind, I couldn't have done that first because the fence was in the way, and an HE shell is going to explode on the first thing it hits. So whereas an AP shot will more than likely go through most soft targets and hopefully do some damage. So it's 4-on-4, and they've got one guy sitting in base. They've got two guys that are one shot, now one. So I'm gonna go try to focus and see if I can't get him. He's taken out the The B2 there's backed out of my view, so now I need to move in. Seeing as the cap's at 60 seconds, I know I've got time to get there, but not much. So it's always a good idea to keep an eye on the clock and have an idea of how much time it's going to take you to get there. So we take a full shot on the run, but get plenty of time here, and I can take a shot from him. That's fine. But we get a shot in and clear the cap. And I was just going to go around and stay safe, but the kill shot presented itself, so back up and get a kill in this game. So, you know, if I just sat on that hill and nothing had popped up, that would have been camping, and that's not helpful to your team. Find a good spot you can get into, and you can do some shooting and do some damage. Okay, so here's the last game I'm going to show, this time on Yamato Harbor, and we are bottom tier, and I have instructed the team to come left. The ship is primarily for teams that are heavy. We don't have any heavies, so it makes sense to go left. But as you can see on the mini map there, they've all congregated in the middle, and for the most part they are headed towards the ship. First tank pops up, and I see that tree go down, so I know there's a tank up there. There's two ahead of me, so there's no point me moving into that situation, because they would just turn and I would be cornered. So I'm going to come around to this side and just start shooting tanks that are sitting out in the open, like this M3 Lee, excuse me. So we get 3 good shots into him, and he finally decides to turn. And how about the accuracy here? We'll get that into him before he fully turns around. KV-1's in my sights here. I know I can get up over this hill and get down. We'll get a good shot in here. Go ahead and hit adrenaline and try to get another shot in, which we do. PZ4 there to the right. I guess that's a 5-4. We get a nice shot into him. Look at all that red, but he's showing us his backside, showing us the side there. Can we get it in time? Let's go for the turret, and we get a kill there. So 2 kills for me, and we are even at the moment. The Leopard and the A-20 are sitting down there while the KV's behind the building. So I'm protected. If he does come around the building, I can just drop down off the hill. So we get a few shots in there. Team is folding quite fast, so I'm going to go ahead and push on this KV-1 and get a shot into him. He's going to drop back down, and I'm hoping I can just use my speed here, get another shot in, get around him, get another shot in here. Kind of trapped at the moment, so I'm going to take a shot, and we'll get one in, and we'll go back around the other way. Get another one in. That T-28's lined up on us. But at this point, you can see I've got 3 kills. The rest of the team's done nothing. And so we just go ahead and eat it from that T-28. But those are the type of games you're going to encounter when your team can't even decipher the difference between left and right. But in that game, bottom tier, 1,359 damage. You can do a good bit of damage on here. You will need some gold rounds for those KV-1s and those bigger, like the PZ-54. If he was facing me, I would have needed him for the sides and backs. It was fine. But you can see the advantages of this tank. It's very mobile. It's got a great gun, good penetration values, and quite fun, even though that was my first loss in 9 battles. So anyway, guys, have fun out there, stay safe, and remember, this is just a game. Don't get too upset about it. Do what you can to learn and get better, and get educated. Not fingered. Littlefinger out.